Hi everyone, and welcome to Lake Oswego United Church of Christ. My name is Adam Erickson, and today I'd like to talk with you about one of the passages we are going to be talking about this Sunday, November 20th, at church. The passage is Psalm 46, and I'll just read to you the first 3 verses. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. Though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult, we will not fear. Do you know that one of the most repeated commandments throughout the Bible is do not fear? Do not be afraid. It's really interesting because for the authors of the Bible, there was a lot to be afraid of. The ancient Jews were not this great giant empire. They were a little country that was often conquered. You remember back in the Exodus, the ancient Jews were enslaved in ancient Egypt. The Israelites were conquered by the Assyrian Empire and enslaved throughout that empire. And then the Babylonians came and conquered Jerusalem and sent the Jews throughout the Babylonian Empire. And so these people had a lot to be afraid of. But here is the commandment that runs throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. Do not be afraid. This command isn't some naive, hey, don't worry, things are all going to be okay, God's ultimately in charge kind of command. No, it's a command that says, throughout our history, we know that bad things happen. Bad things can happen to us. But in the midst of those bad things, don't be afraid, because fear will often allow us to forget who we are. You see, the Bible never promises safety, but it does promise us that God is with us during difficult times, and that the God of love will go through those difficult times with us. But it doesn't just leave it as God going through us during those difficult times. It also calls us to go through those times together. You are not alone. God is with you. And for the people of God to actually be the people of God, we will go through it together in the spirit of love. And many of us are going through a difficult time right now. Just last week, we had, for many, a surprising election where Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. And I have to tell you, my son, who is 9 years old, is scared because he has a good friend named Adrian. And Adrian is scared that he or his parents will be split up and his parents will have to go back to Mexico. And when my son came home the other day, he started crying in tears uncontrollably because he was afraid for his best friend, Adrian. And what my son is doing with his friend Adrian is telling Adrian that he's not alone, that they will go through this together, that my son will love his best friend through this really difficult time in their lives. And I think this is also calling us to stand up for justice and for families and for more love in the world. So one of the things that you might be able to talk about amongst your families is, what are the things that you are afraid of? What are the things that you have anxiety about? Maybe if you're excited, you can talk about some of the things that you're excited about. Where are you finding hope in the midst of what you might be experiencing as turmoil? And how can we live in the world that reflects the God who doesn't abandon us, but the God who goes with us through the storm, through the chaos, and loves us through it? How can we do that together? So those are some of my thoughts on this passage. Hope you can join us this Sunday at Lake Oswego United Church of Christ. Worship starts at 10:30, and I hope to see you there. Until then, grace and peace be with you.